Hello everybody, it's Julia here from the Highly Sensitive Tarot, and I'm back today with part 2 or video 2 in my little series looking at these 4 decks here. You will see if you look in my playlist or from about a week ago the first video in this series, and I looked at the cards from the Fool to the Hermit. Today we're going to start at the Wheel of Fortune and just see how far I get really. So yeah, we've got the Before Tarot, we've got the Radiant Wise Spirit Tarot for the present, we've got the After Tarot, and then we've got the Tarot of New Vision here at the end. So I just thought it'd be a really useful and interesting thing to look at the differences between these cards. I am a bit of a Rider-Waite-Smith girl, and I am quite interested in the symbology, so I thought it would be an interesting thing. Now, the Wheel of Fortune is one of those cards that I have never really taken a great deal of notice of or a great deal of interest in, to be honest. I know that it's associated or corresponds with Jupiter, which is a planet of luck and good fortune. It's a 10, so it's an ending, it's a beginning. And I think if we look at the cards here on the Before Tarot, we've got the astrological signs in the corners, we've got the sun and the moon, but we're missing the Sphinx and Anubis and the snake that we see here. In the After Tarot, the snake seems to have turned into a monkey, or I seem to remember a baboon. And then on the Tarot of the New Vision, where we're just looking at this picture here really, but from a different angle, we don't see anything hugely different here in this picture. It just is looking at things from a different angle. So I'm going to have a little read from the book that comes with the After Tarot, because it explains a lot of the symbols that we're seeing here really well. So it says, excuse me, the Wheel of Fortune is the spinning wheel of destiny. It's a graphic reminder that nothing is certain but change itself. What goes around comes around, and what goes up must come down. So the giant orange disc is suspended in mid-air, surrounded by blue sky and silver clouds. The wheel is orange, the colour of fire, light, energy and heat, and it is divided into 8 sections to symbolise the 4 cardinal directions, which we can see there. So north, south, east and west, along with the midway points to make up the 8 sections. The divisions are also a graphical representation of the Wheel of the Year, which you're probably familiar with, as I am, with the spring, summer, winter and fall equinoxes, as well as the midpoints of each of those seasons. So the angelic creatures in the corner represent the fixed signs of the zodiac. So the winged angel here is Aquarius. The Scorpio is the phoenix. We've got Taurus as the bull, and then we've got Leo the lion. And these 4 creatures also symbolize the 4 dimensions of width, length, height and time. They represent the 4 cardinal directions of north, south, east and west, and they are reminders of the 4 seasons, the 4 winds, the 4 phases of the moon, and the 4 ages of man: infancy, youth, adulthood and old age. In addition, the 4 creatures symbolize the 4 elements and the 4 suits of the minor arcana. So there's tons and tons of symbology within the Wheel of Fortune card, isn't there? The Sphinx at the top here is actually a combination of 4 creatures. So we've got that number 4 again. He has a human head, a bull's body, a lion's feet, and tucked behind his back in eagle's wings. The jackal-headed This one here, the jackal-headed Anubis, is the Egyptian god of the afterlife. In the after tarot here, we can see a baboon, as I said. This is the sacred scribe that belonged to Thoth, the Egyptian god of writing. The coiled serpent that we can see in the middle of the card here, which is perhaps this serpent from here. And we see on the Tower of the New Vision, we see that serpent there again. But this serpent is Typhon, an ancient monster who attempted to overthrow Zeus as the king of gods and men. He was cast underground to where he remained to cause volcanic eruptions and windstorms. He's biting his own tail, or about to, in this picture, like the Uberus, which is an ancient symbol of an endless cycle of existence. We also have on this card the 4 Arabic letters on the wheel here, which says tarot, T-A-R-O, and they're the same 4 letters, the number 4 again, that also appeared on the High Priestess scroll. If you read them clockwise, they spell tarot, and counterclockwise, they spell Torah, like the Hebrew Holy Book. What else have we got here? The symbols inside the wheel are alchemical symbols. We've got sulfur is the triangle. We've got salt is the circle, so this one here. Mercury is the circle with horns, so it's that one there. And disillusion is the wavy lines. Disillusion. The 3 alchemical elements were once thought to be the 3 basic forms of matter. The Wheel of Fortune, as I said, corresponds with Jupiter, and because it's the largest planet in our solar system, it symbolises growth on every level, that being personal, professional, physical, spiritual, emotional, intellectual, and physical. Again, astrologers call it the Great Benefic. Great Benefic? Because its passage through the signs of the zodiac correspond to periods of health, wealth, and happiness. So, absolutely tons and tons of symbology there to look at, actually, much more than you would realise on the Wheel of Fortune. As I said, to me, it tends to represent something about karma and fate and luck and opportunities. Yeah, and I often think that when we look at this wheel, we want to be focused on the center point there, because I think that's the point that would help you to stay grounded in life. Anyway, what have we got next? So we've got justice next. Let's take those off. So, justice. So I think we look at these cards here. So in the first picture we have, I think it's called Themis, a Greek god of justice, if I remember rightly. And he sits between the pillars of justice, just like the High Priestess and the Hierophant in their cards. This corresponds with Libra, so there's elements here of balance and justice and fairness and grace. In this image here, he's holding the scales, but he also has a dove, and he's not picked up the sword as yet in the Before Tarot. In the Rider-Waite, the Radiant Rider-Waite-Smith, we see the sword and the scales. So this is the sword of righteousness. And I think, if I remember rightly from reading, this sword is double-edged, and that's kind of a reminder of fairness, I think, to always remember that things cut both ways. In the After Tarot here, we see justice being used with royalty and poor people. So we've got like a prince and a pauper here, and both will be treated fairly and equally. You know, I think the scales of justice take no interest in a person's status in life. You know, I think that's kind of what it's saying. They're all weighed and measured equally, and this figure of justice here is kind of unswayed by any kind of passion or privilege or emotion, I guess. Now, in the Tarot of the New Vision, I'm not really sure what is going on here. I do so wish that I had the big book that comes with the Tarot of the New Vision, because I think there's much more going on between these two cards than there is these two cards, if you know what I mean. So I would be really, really interested to know why there is a baby here, and why we have, again, maybe a woman whose station has a bit more privilege than this lady here. She looks like she might be poorer than this one. Are they arguing over the baby? Is that what's going on behind the throne here? Is there an argument about who's worthy of having this baby here? I don't really know. If you know, please do tell me. I would be really interested to know. But really quite interesting there with the symbology of justice, I think. What else do we have? We have the Hanged Man. And I hope I'm managing to keep all these neatly. Do like things to be neat. So in the Hanged Man, so this is Neptune, isn't it? This is and there's quite a lot of differences actually here when we look across these cards. In the first image here, we see the person hanging by the one leg, as we're used to seeing, but he hasn't managed to cross his other leg as yet, or his arms, and he doesn't look very happy to me, really. We've got crows or ravens or something up there that, I don't know, might be waiting for him to die. I don't really know. But he doesn't look entirely peaceful or happy there, does he? His aura is pale as well compared to the aura on the other cards that we see here. In the Radiant Rider-Waite-Smith, we see he's fallen into the traditional pose of the Hanged Man. I think his leg shape is symbolic also. It's like the number 4, isn't it? And I think that that's to represent kind of something stable. It's perhaps that sort of emperor energy. I'm not really sure. I do remember reading, you know, a story about the Hanged Man, that the Hanged Man is a representation of sort of death and resurrection. So it could be Odin or Christ, of that period of kind of sacrifice and transformation into a more enlightened state. So in the After Tarot here, we see that the Hanged Man is not here entirely alone. Some very kind person has come to give him a drink, which is nice to see. But in the Tarot of the New Vision, we see from the other side of this picture, and we see that there is an angry crowd. Let me show you that. If you can see that there, it shows that there is an angry crowd, all jeering and pointing, and they look quite angry, really, with the Hanged Man, don't they? And maybe that's about people fear what they don't understand. That could be a similar, you know, that conjures up sort of images and thoughts around Christ on the cross, doesn't it? That perhaps some of the people that were stood around at that point were jeering and angry, like an angry mob, who didn't really understand what was happening there or why. But so I think, yeah, this is we can see here that he's entered that kind of trance state. You know, that this is not a physical death. This is more of a resurrection, a transformation. And we can see here that he's not suffering as such. And that perhaps he even has a disciple here, somebody that has come to take care of him. But yeah, interesting, I think, the Hanged Man. Then we have Death. There's not a great deal of difference between these cards, I don't think. I mean, when we look at them, we can see in the first card, in the Before Tarot, it's still night time. We have the moon, the Death on his pale horse is alone in the graveyard. It's like he's just entering into the graveyard. I'm not quite sure what all these little blue bits here are, whether that's water, which might represent something emotional. Yeah, I'm not really sure what the little blue bits there are. When we do see water as we go along in these, I think that the water that we can see the sailboats on is the River of Styx, isn't it? I'm going to have a read from the book for this one, because there's not a huge amount of difference between these. As I said, all we see really is him passing from night through to the dawn. We see the sun rising through the two pillars here. And I think those pillars we see on the moon card also, don't we? In the After Tarot, the sun has risen high into the sky, and we can see more of this river with the sailboat on. And the Tarot of the New Vision is just really the opposite side of this card. And I don't really see a great deal of differences there, other than we can't see the sun in this picture. We can't see the pillars or the sun, which we wouldn't, would we, if we were looking from another direction? Let's have a little read anyway. Just see if there's anything that I've not said there. So it says, Death, the great equalizer. The Grim Reaper marches across the battlefield of life, leaving a trail of destruction in his wake. No one is spared. Some may live to see another sunrise, but Death is patient. Even when he passes by, he knows he'll be back for more. Today he has claimed the great and small alike. A mighty emperor and a powerful bishop lie fallen on the ground. An innocent child lies in her grieving mother's arms, and in the distance the river of life flows towards the sea of eternity. So Death is the proverbial pale rider on a white horse. Skeletons represent the bare bones of the matter. A scythe can only mean a harvest, even if it refers to a harvest of souls. Death wears the armour of black steel, the familiar battle wear of a king's knight. This warrior, however, has nothing to lose. He knows that his victory is inevitable. He carries a black banner emblazoned with a mystic white rose. And white roses, as we know, are traditionally a symbol of life and death and resurrection, aren't they? The small ship in the background is sailing on what seems to be the River Styx, the mythic landmark that separated the land of the living from the land of the dead. The rising and setting sun has symbolized death and resurrection since the time of ancient Egypt. The sun is stationed between two pillars that are reminiscent of the pillars behind the high priestess, behind justice and the moon, as I said. In every case, the pillars represent a gateway or a passage to another world. Astrologically, death is associated with Scorpio, the watery sign of mystery and death, and Scorpio is ruled by Pluto, the planet of death, resurrection, and unavoidable change. So there we go. Lots going on in the death card there, but not a great deal of difference between the actual cards here. And then we have Temperance. So what do we have here? So I remember when I was reading, I had traditionally always thought that the angel in the Temperance card is Gabriel, Archangel Gabriel. But I do remember reading in the book, and they said that this angel here was Archangel Michael, but I'm not sure about that. If any of you have any ideas about that, please do let me know. I associate this with Gabriel. So this is a card of reconciling two opposite forces, isn't it? I think when we look at these cards, I mean, we're all used to, very familiar with seeing this image here of the angel sort of tempering the fluids in the cup, if you like, with one foot in the water, one foot on the land. But in the before tarot here, we see the angel filling the cups from this sort of contraption here. I don't know what that is. I had always assumed the angel had filled the cups from the water in the pool, but not so. So yeah, I'm not really entirely sure what that is. In the after tarot, we see the angel with the as above and so below symbol. I think these yellow irises mean something. I'm not entirely sure. We've got a dove coming out of the top cup there, which I would assume represents some kind of peace. When we look at the Tarot of the New Vision, we're just seeing behind the angel there. We can see the aura around the angel's head very clearly. We can see some more of this sort of contraption here that we couldn't see in this card here. It's like something that the water has to pass through all of these very different levels, isn't it? So it's obviously blending something, I suppose, isn't it? Yeah. Let's have a little read of the book from this as well and just see if I can see anything else in here. Where are we? Temperance. Yeah, see, it says in this book, Michael, the Archangel of Temperance. See, now I'm confused because I had always associated this card with Gabriel. But I may have been wrong all of these years. It says the Archangel of Temperance unites the four elements simply by standing in place. He's a spiritual airy being who bridges water, earth and sky. In the process, he illustrates the art of blending and combining forces that are seemingly at odds with one another. He's a unifying presence in a world of opposition. He divides his time between the two worlds with his left foot on the dry land of logic and his right foot submerged in the water of emotion. In the distance, a winding path leads to a mountain range. The image suggests bridges and pathways and other worlds of mind and spirit. So Michael wears the emblem, well, I'm going to say Gabriel still because I don't know. There's an emblem of the sun on his forehead, and there's also the square with the triangle on his chest. It says the septenary, which is the square and the triangle. A septenary represents the seven oh God, I can't speak today. The seven I can't say that word. 7 principles of man: higher self, spirit, mind, animal nature, life force, etheric body, and physical form. Okay. The yellow irises that we see blooming here. Iris was a goddess of rainbows and symbolized a bridge between heaven and earth. Whenever the gods argued, Zeus would send Iris to the underworld to fill a golden jug with water from the river Styx. Each god was required to drink from the jug. If he or she had lied, they would immediately fall over breathless for a year and subsequently be cut out from councils and feasts for the next 9 years. Wow, that's harsh. Temperance is sometimes known as art, and sometimes it's called alchemy. Astrologically, temperance is associated with Sagittarius, the archer, half man, half horse. I was watching Farah's Astrology and Tarot channel the other day, and she was talking in her video about astrology and the majors, and she'd said that it's a weird one, isn't it, Sagittarius with temperance. Everything about this image is water, isn't it? And it would make you think that this would be a water sign, wouldn't it? So yeah, I think that's about it for temperance. And then we have the devil. I think I'm going to do 2 more cards, actually, looking at the time. So we have the devil. So in the before tarot, we see the devil sat on his perch here, looking like some great overgrown vulture type creature. He's holding the man and the woman here, who are chained, but not tightly chained. We always have to remember that. And on the female's tail here, we can see, and the males, we can see on their tails the emblems I remember from the Lovers card, from the bushes that they had with them. I think that, what is this one? This might be the tree of knowledge, and this one the tree of life, I think, if I remember rightly. But it's just interesting that they're there, isn't it? So it's like he's pulling them together at the moment, the devil, isn't he? Or he's pulled them up to their feet anyway. And then in this card here, we just see them kind of weighing each other up, I think, really here. Because I think the whole deal here with the devil card is that the devil is trying to encourage this couple to commit a carnal sin. I think that's probably the deal here, isn't it, really? Which we, in the after tarot, we see happening. And we see it happening with this whole big audience of demons and other sort of horrible creatures. I do remember reading something about the devil mocking the Hierophant here with his hand in the air, this as above, so below kind of thing. It's like a mockery of the Hierophant's hands. And in the Tarot of the New Vision, we just see all of this that's going on from the other side. What else do I want to say about this? I think just generally this whole card just represents really our desires and our repressed desires and temptations, the things of our shadow self that need need that hermit's light, that hermit's lantern to shine into all the dark corners. I also seem to remember that the devil in this card could also be called an archangel or a fallen angel of some kind. There's Uriel, I remember, who is the flame of God, and then also Lucifer, who is the bearer of light. And I guess it kind of reminds us, doesn't it, that darkness defines light. It's like the devil here is bringing together all of the repressions of this couple here to bring them together. All that kind of physical lust and no spiritual connection. Yeah, I think that's probably about all I can say about that. I think we've obviously got the inverted pentagram here, which is just again kind of an inversion, isn't it, or a perversion of all that is good. There are obviously connections with Pan, the pagan god, and Dionysus, the god of wine and temptation. You know, all of those elements are here. And this is Capricorn, isn't it? This astrologically, this is Capricorn. So yeah, there we go. And then lastly, I think we will talk about the Tower. What do we have here? So in the Before Tarot, we actually do see a little sort of story evolving here, don't we? Because in the Before Tarot, we see these people heading up the mountain towards the Tower. There's like a storm starting to happen. It's a sort of storm brewing. And to me, I sort of feel that these people coming up to the Tower are like poor people, really. Whereas the people in the Tower are the royalty, aren't they? As we see this crown here. You know, we've got a king and a queen in the Tower, I think. And I think that as this is the Tower card, it's like they're going to be in all this privilege that they have in their ivory tower is now about to be torn from them, isn't it? There's going to be a sudden and sort of forceful clearing out of energy here. As we see, the lightning strikes the Tower, and the Tower starts to fall. The Tower starts to break down, to catch on fire and to fall, and the people in the Tower are thrown out of the Tower, and I think they are a king and a queen. So the Tower is like reaching for the sky, like a symbol of, it's like a masculine symbol, isn't it, of achievement and masculine authority. And the lightning strike would represent that very forceful clearing of that energy, and allowing for something new to come into the lives, perhaps, of these people here. Yeah, I wonder if there's anything else I want to say. Yeah, I suppose in the Tower of the New Vision here, what we see, I think this is the tree of knowledge, isn't it? This is the same tree that Eve was stood by in the Lover's card, and we see the snake going up the tree. So again, that might represent to me some kind of transformational process, I suppose, a rebirth, if you like, I think. Yeah. And also, I think in the Lover's card as well, because it's a card not just of relationships, but it is a card of consequences. You know, the consequences of your decisions, of your choices, of the way that you've lived your life. And, you know, this king and queen are having some consequences here, aren't they? You know, there's maybe a balancing out of the fairness of life coming to pass here in these cards. So yeah, I think that's about it really. So I shall be back with video number 3 in a few days or a week or so, and I'll cover the last, what have we got, the last 5 cards of the majors, and then I think I'll do a video number 4, and I won't go through all the minors because I think this I'll be at this all year, won't I? So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the rest of the deck with the minors and the court cards, and I'm just going to pick out my favourite cards, the ones where I can actually see a story evolving throughout the cards, and I shall show you those. So there'll be a couple more videos in this series. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. Please do say hello if you have any thoughts about these, because obviously this is my opinions, my thoughts based on my knowledge and my experience of reading Rider-Waite-Smith decks. So if you know anything that I don't, please do tell me. If I've missed anything, please do tell me. And I hope to see you all again soon. Thank you.